Meanwhile, local officials have been working to clarify what those regulations mean to us as members of the community. Lieutenant Michael Pena with the Corpus Christi Police Department spoke to us today, saying that while his department is not responsible for enforcing the wearing of masks or other social distancing mandates, police officers will be clarifying requirements to citizens in public situations. Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales says the health department has the authority to shut down businesses that violate the state's orders for social distancing in operation. And while there are no civil or criminal penalties to residents who don't comply with the mask order, she hopes that residents will use common sense when they're out in public.
If there is a missing factor, it's personal responsibility, and no judge can order that. It's upon all of us to create our own sense of worth and value and care about our fellow man.
Canales went on to say that instances of private gatherings which exceed the state's limit of people will be handled on a case-by-case basis and could be subject to penalties.